I enjoyed the film more than the book. Because for some reason the psychological twists make more sense in visual terms.
Right. No, I know what you mean. And it's one of those instances for me where, as much as I loved both the script and the book, but for me the experience of actually playing out some of these scenes as an actor was much more intense than I ever thought it would be. I mean, there's only so much detail that can be, written down and described on paper, but when we actually had to play out some of these sequences, it became it brought on a whole new layer of depth for me that I didn't honestly see at first glance, and it became this sort of emotional jigsaw puzzle, and it is set up that way. I mean, the whole premise of the movie is about psychological trauma and this guy's journey and what's gone on in his past and how that's connecting to this island and putting the pieces together. So all the elements were there, but it really lent itself to the cinematic format in that way, because playing these sequences out, I only truly got the depth of it when we actually got to act it out.
Well, as actors, you guys deal with interior dialogue all the time as part of the job, but when the interior dialogue is psychologically disturbed, how great an acting challenge does that become?
I really enjoy that. I really do. I mean, when you're able to sink your teeth into a character like this and constantly have something to do, there's always something to think about. There's always varying degrees of how to play a character. And it's also a movie that works on different levels, in which case, if you see this movie a second or a third time, you might pick up another character's reaction to something in a completely different way than you did the first time. And that's a sign of an interesting movie to me. This is a movie that I think people are going to talk about after they leave the theater, whether they like it or not, who knows, but it's going to be a topic of discussion in my mind, because there's so many red herrings and there's so many ways of looking at different sequences in this movie, and there's so many interpretations of what the ending of the film could be, and that's what Scorsese is good at. He gives you dramatic impact, but there's also a layer of ambiguity in everything that allows you to have your own unique experience, and that's why I'm a fan of his work anyway.
Right. Well, as you say, you are a fan of his work. You've sort of stated publicly that he's your favorite director, but why specifically? What sets Scorsese apart from other?
Well, you could point to stylistically what he's done as an artist and say that's amazing. You could point to, the different masterpieces that he's made. But to me, there's always something about the human condition and the dark side of the human condition in his movies. There's always something there that he does with the actors that is just so powerful and so thought-provoking. And I don't know, I remember seeing Taxi Driver for the first time and being fooled by that character, feeling embarrassed for him, feeling betrayed when Travis Bickle started to wanted to kill the senator in the middle of his speech, and all of a sudden saying, "Wait a minute, I was with you. I don't understand. I was connecting with you, and all of a sudden you're a terrorist. What's going on?" And there's something about the way he portrays human beings, and that's what he concentrates on with the actors that he works with. That's his main focus. As much as there are all these different elements at play, he's always giving you ownership of your character and seeing where you take it and trusting in you and letting you sort of dictate to him where this story's going to go.
Right. It was great to see you honour him with the Cecil B. DeMille Award. But do you find it astonishing that over his career, Scorsese's only earned one Academy Award? Is that a little unusual?
To me, yeah, absolutely. I mean, to not win for Raging Bull or Goodfellas, I mean, it's pretty astonishing to me. But hey, he's in the club now. He got his, so he's not one to complain about that kind of stuff either, and that's not the reason why he does the work that he does. But sometimes we don't recognize genius when it comes out. Look at when 2001 came out. A lot of these films of a lot of great directors, including Kubrick and Hitchcock, have never even won. So there you go.
Yeah. Now, according to IMDb, you have around 32 projects in some stage of development. Do you think the progression for you will be behind the camera as a producer and perhaps, in fact, as a director?
Well, I do have a production company called Appian Way that where I've been developing projects for years and years, and that is the big battle of, in Hollywood, is to how to find quality material, because that's the stuff that gets made into movies, and it becomes development hell after a while. You try to figure out what cream is gonna sort of rise to the surface, and for me, producing is something that I really enjoy, because I love, part of me is a storyteller, that's part of being an actor. Every movie that I get involved with, I get involved in that element of, I become part-time storyteller. So the producer's hat is something that I'm going to look forward to doing in the future, but directing is something where I think you have to multitask way too much, and I don't know if my mind works like that.
Are you not quite prepared for that yet?
Not quite.
Yeah. Well, as a producer and a possible eventual director, what kind of things have you learnt from Scorsese? And how do you think you've matured as an actor over the 4 films that you've done together?
Well, I've in essence, I think by the sheer knowledge, by the database of knowledge that he has in his mind of film history and his appreciation for the art form, it is infectious. It's given me a whole new appreciation for film as an art form, and the past pioneers and what has been done artistically within my art form. And that has been the greatest gift. I mean, if I wasn't doing my job simultaneously and just concentrating on learning from him as a director, I don't feel like I would be showing up doing what I have to do. So, unfortunately, in hindsight, there hasn't been a lot of focus on what he's been doing as a director, because I've been too focused on what I do. But, it's hard not to learn and have this sort of infectious enthusiasm for being able to work in this genre, and when you're around him and everyone feels the same way. And there's just a heightened sense of wanting to bring your A game every single day when you're on set, when you're working for this man, because there's nothing about you that doesn't want to, prove to him that you're giving him your all. I mean, that's inherently something in me, but it's around everybody. You feel it. Everyone's just on their toes, ready to, be warriors for this man,
Okay. Well, you've been acting on screen since you were 5, Oscar nominations, until very recently, the most successful film of all time.
That's
Did
right.
you get the conciliation call from James Cameron?
No, there was no call. There was no call. No flowers. No rewards. No, at the end of the day, I actually found out. I actually read it on the internet or something like that, and if that were the reason why I made movies for those types of records, then I shouldn't be doing this. I thought Avatar was an unbelievable movie and a insanely surreal experience, and I loved it. So Godspeed to them, and I hope they keep going and quadruple that number, because people are responding to it amazingly, and it's a fantastic film.
But when you look back at your career, do you consider it successful? Do you consider it successful in sort of the terms that are relevant to you?
For me, absolutely. I mean, at that time period, I'd done nothing but, really small art house films. And this was my first venture into trying something with a broader audience. And, Titanic came along, and it happened to be this unbelievable hit that no one could have foreseen, and it's given me the opportunity to now finance projects that I love based on my name. It's been the greatest gift in the world, and I'm proud to be a part of that movie too. I love the movie, and it's a time period that I'll never forget. It was also a learning process afterwards, all the effects of fame and intense scrutiny on your life at a young age, and how to deal with that, and that was a learning period too. But I wouldn't give it up for anything. I mean, now I'm getting to do what I love to do as an actor, and that's pretty awesome.